Hello, classmates. This is Shannon Baumgartner. I am excited to present to you the compilation of project information that I have for our community health clinic and physician's office. This has been a fun project, and I have enjoyed very much selecting the, the the needed aspects for this space. The community health clinic is going to be staffed 5 days a week from 8:30 to 5:30, and then also one evening. And then the staff from the physician's office will also be volunteering down in the community health clinic as well. So we kind of have a rotation of staff just to note. And then the stairway in the back of or on the, I should say, on the north side of the plan will be accessed by the staff so that they can utilize both spaces there. We were tasked with this space that is 5,500 square feet on the first floor and 4,700 square feet on the second floor. So we have kind of an expansive space there. And because the building is located in California, we also needed to consider, or I needed to consider, the fire-rated walls. And California, because of the earthquakes, generally have higher, well, not generally, they have higher codes to consider as well. So we went with a 4-hour rated stairwell for a firewall and a 1 hour in the corridor to help facilitate those codes. The community room on the community health clinic on the first floor will need to have flexible seating for 30 and accommodate different things such as community meetings or blood drives, maybe the flu shots or workshops, generally a larger crowd. And then we had to design the reception area, some business office, a manager's office, a waiting room. All the restrooms were needing to be ADA compliant, so you'll see that each restroom is designed with enough space with those areas in mind. It was also important for me to apply the universal design codes or guidelines when possible. So my reception desk there that's designed has a space that meets that criteria as well, as far as the universal design, as well as the staff lounge. I put a lower counter there that would meet those universal design and ADA guidelines, just in case we should need that. We also needed to include a space for the lab and the x-ray room, a consultation room, and the medical or the doctor's offices, and then the medication dispensary area. So you'll see here that I chose some seating for the waiting area in the community health clinic. I chose the bariatric seating just to give the clients an option there for that need, if that should be. And then I also chose the same seating with arms and with armrests and without, just to give them options, whatever might suit their needs best. As far as seating for the lab, I went with something that was clean, that could be wiped off easily in case if that's necessary. And the seating for the staff lounge, I wanted very much so to focus on the ergonomics of the seating, the desk arrangement, and so on. Such an important aspect when the staff will be spending so much of their time in the day at the office. So I just wanted to be sure to focus on ergonomics as well. Sustainability was also important to me. A lot of the objects chosen, or the materials chosen, were chosen for their sustainability aspects. So the laminate flooring is sustainable. I also chose LED lighting when possible to help reduce the cost of running the facility for the client. going forward. So that was very much so in mind. The laminate countertops are also low VOCs, sustainable as well. So anytime I could apply that principle, I certainly did in this project. The color palette is light and bright. It's soothing. It's very important for a healthcare facility to consider certain colors and not and maybe not consider others, such as, let's just say red, for instance, would not be an important or a color you would want to choose for a healthcare facility because it can bring tension, or it can bring it's said to bring a shortened how do I word it, a shortened, well, it can bring on anger. It can bring it's just an energetic color, I should say. So the colors I went with are more of a soothing atmosphere, but at the same time I didn't want it to look like a spa, so I tried to stay away from those types of colors, but something soothing as well. So the cabinetry you'll see is in the lighter shade color to keep it bright. The laminate countertops, although it looks like concrete, that is laminate, so it's neat to add that visual texture, if you will, in the laminate countertops, and then the contrast with the flooring in the laminate. On the floor plan, you'll notice on the first floor for the community room and the waiting area, I initially thought we could do the herringbone pattern. I don't know, we could still go with the herringbone pattern, but I thought in the end that it might be good just to go with maybe the darker color there that you see, that darker brown in the larger rooms where there's more light. So on that wall with the windows, I went with the darker color, but I also chose to go with the more neutral beige color as a border around the room, and that helps with wayfinding. So clients that are trying to get from one area to another might be able to determine, okay, this visually, seeing a border around the floor, is transitioning now to a new space. So from the community room and the waiting area, and then all around the corridors, I chose to add that border. Once you get into kind of the heart of the space, the middle of the space, I went with a light gray flooring, or the kind of the middle, I guess you could call it more of a brown, the middle color for the central part of the floor. And that just is applied to all the corridors, and that way visually you can see that you are in the corridor area, again with a border. The exam rooms, because of the smaller size of the rooms, I wanted to keep it light and bright, so I went with the lighter beige color for the entire space of the room. For that space. The ADA restrooms, or all the restrooms really, I went with the same corridor color with the lighter, or the kind of the middle color. Again, it's a small space, so I didn't want to go too dark. So I tried to keep those areas light and bright as well. On the second floor, you'll see a similar floor plan, but not exactly the same. There were different requirements, of course, for the physician's office as there are for the doctor's office, or for the community space on the first floor. So that was in an effort to keep the costs low, again, because this project is being federally funded. We needed to keep the costs within their budget. So in order to reduce those costs, we went with some of the similar options, but changed it up a bit so that it wasn't so similar. On the second floor plan, you'll see on the bottom left of my presentation board a colored floor plan, and that the flooring in that area, in contrast to the lower area, I wanted to keep it light and bright, and I wanted the natural light from the wall of windows to flow through as much as possible, to flow through the space. Again, that just helps lighten the mood. Generally speaking, is a cheery environment. So I went with lighter materials on the second floor. So you'll see that in the waiting area and the corridors, I went with the light beige. And then again, for the wayfinding, I chose to do a light or that middle kind of brown color for a border around the space, again, for wayfinding purposes. I went with you'll see the ergonomic desk there in the presentation, as well as the ergonomic desk chair. Again, if we're spending so much time in the space, we really need to be taking care of ourselves so that we can take care of other people. So I wanted to focus on the ergonomics with the adjustable height of the computer monitor, the adjustable height desk, and then the ergonomic chair. I also included task lighting for each employee so that they can utilize that as well. The acoustic ceiling tiles, I wanted to touch on that for a minute. These are clean lines, modern, kind of goes with the whole aesthetic here. Very visually adding interest and depth to the space, but also a necessary product to help reduce the sound travel throughout the space. Because we are dealing with, or because we are planning a large expansive space, I wanted something that can help reduce the noise level that is traveling there. With the HIPAA laws and patient privacy, very important to keep that noise factor down. So those acoustic tiles I was happy to find, because I think it adds another visual texture, interest, and also serves a very practical purpose in the space. Also, above all the exam rooms, we're going to apply the ceiling light diffusers. Gives the client just something pleasing, a pleasing scene to look at, in what may be or may not be a kind of a tense environment when you're at the doctor. So as you're laying on the exam room, if you look, or on the exam table, as you look upward, you'll see a ceiling light diffuser with just a nice scene there to gaze at. Here is my lighting presentation boards for this space. Again, we went with LEDs as much as possible to help reduce the cost of running the facility. After we're done designing here, you'll see the wayfinding, the emergency lighting, the exit lighting, very important to include. You'll see on this slide the acoustic dampeners all the way on the right, kind of like an art installation, if you will, but serves a very practical purpose in that they will help reduce the travel sound, and those will go into each of the exam rooms as well as in the reception area and the waiting rooms and the community rooms. And then, of course, it's important to keep client documentation or records and the medications locked up. So we've installed some cameras and other security features for that. The ceiling tile barriers kind of towards the top center helps again reduce that noise that's going to travel through the space. On this slide, you'll see the physician's office. Again, on the right, acoustic tiles being applied in kind of an art form on the walls. The signage to help direct staff as well as patients in the space. And then we have here the ADA compliant grab bars and the smoke alarms. I've added some extra lighting for finding the fire extinguishers. Just thought that would be helpful in the case of an emergency. And you'll see that here again for the physician's office. So I hope you enjoyed this space as much as I have. I'm excited about the plan, and I think the clients would enjoy it. I've touched on all the necessary feedback from the clients as to what they're looking for, and stayed within the parameters of what they were seeking. So I think a client would be very pleased with this. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your feedback.